Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back, of course, to the Time Bomb channel. Hope all is good with you in your part of the world. And in for review today, we've got quite a well-known chrono from one of our cousins in the land of the Han. Massive thanks also to Paolo over at the Time in the UK channel for this loaner. Please do check out his channel, as he's got a quite unique, no-nonsense approach to his watch reviews, which is very welcome indeed. Let's just pop the box. It's a little noisy. 1 second. And I'm sure that most of you, this will not be your first eyes on the watches. They've been the darling of YouTube Landia for quite a while now. I certainly remember when they first came out, I was thinking to myself, wow, that's a very retro chrono. Really like it. Some very pretty aspects to it. And I was so close to buying it in many of those sales there on AliExpress. But I think actually the hype kind of put me off in the end. And I never broke down. So thanks again, Paolo, for sharing this one, because now it gives me that opportunity to really have a good look at this watch. I think most of you will agree it's a good looking little watch. I think a lot of the aspects work very well on it. I mean, that color palette of red, silver, blue, gold, and that almost manila envelope dial that you can see here, it really works very, very well indeed. Key specs, of course, it's 40 mils wide, or this particular version, or they do come in different sizes. It's got quite a long 51 mils north to south, and then I believe, if my memory serves me well, just checking my notes there, it's a solid 12 mils deep, but obviously that's going to be it needs to be that way to hold all of that movement in there. You got your exhibition case back on there, and then of course all that domage on the top there as well. So yeah, it's not a shallow watch. It does sit on quite narrow 20 mils at the lugs, but I think that's probably quite in keeping with the style of the watch, etc. As to whether this is a seagull or a version of the seagull, well, I think I'll leave that to Jody over at the Just One More Watch channel. I mean, he did a great summary of all the variants that there are of this watch, from the plethora of manufacturers who seem to be trotting out, versions of this in different colorways, etc., different sizes. So yeah, I mean, he's done a far better summary than I'm ever going to do. So please do check that out if that's of interest. Also, on this particular watch, on this particular box, the Chinese here translates as to Air Force Watch Copy. So I'm going to go with this one being a version of the seagull with a probable ST movement buzzing away inside. But just before we get on to that, let's have another closer look at the dial. You can see that we've got sort of these golden hour markers, and that the 11, 1, 5 and 7, those little angular pointers, they're just almost forcing your focal point to the center of the dial also. I guess, we'll call them slivers a little bit. And then, as I mentioned before, so over here at the 9, we've got the running seconds, and on the minute track as well, you will see you've got those additional gradings between the second markings there to allow for that precision timing. I think overall the dial is very, very cool indeed. And I've kind of had had the watch sitting on my desk today, and I just find that it's really, really easy on the eyes. It's quite simple, but there's enough going on here to really understand why these things have been so successful and so popular. I think it just ticks many, many boxes and does it really quite well. Let me just open up the strap here so that you can see the case back, because again, one of the key attractions to this particular watch and its style is this lovely and very well deserved see-through case back here. I mean, as you can see, it's just yeah, it's just cogs and jewels, a feast for the eyeballs. It really, really is. And to me, I shouldn't confess this, but I find it quite satisfying just sitting and watching it all go round and round and round. I could probably get some help for that, so let's not go into that too much more. I have it on good authority also. Before I move on, that the Chinese blurb around the back on that case back indicates that this is a homage or a tribute, and it says that it's the Air Force Chrono 1963 made in China. However, over here it says Plan B. I'm not quite sure what Plan A was. Again, if you do know, that would be really, really helpful. Let me just rethread that through there as well. Just show it on wrist for you. So on this particular strap, the NATO that it's come on, I find personally that it sits just a little bit too high. Let me just throw it on. There we go. I find that the NATO just pushes it up a little bit too much, and so that it's sort of perched very, very, very high on the wrist. I mean, kind of nice in the hot summer because you get a lot of ventilation coming through here. So in that sense, I think, for many people it'll work. Me personally, though, if I was going to keep it on a NATO, I'm not a big NATO fan. I would use a two-piece NATO as an alternative, because I think that would just simply keep it flusher on the wrist. In the box, then, it did come with also this sort of little, slightly cheapish tan leather, but on wrist, you'll see that I think that leather again helps the watch to sit much flusher on wrist, and I think it then allows that slightly larger case body to fit a lot easier. But that, of course, is just my perspective. If you've got one of these and you've so I've just touched the dial there. If you've got one of these and you've got it on a different strap, let us know which is your preferred strappage for this one. It'd be good to hear your experiences. Perhaps then, in keeping with the original 60s version of these, there's no loom here, but I think that daylight legibility is pretty clear. But do bear in mind, of course, that big red chrono hand is quite dominant, and those the hour and minute hand are quite thin or fine blue. Even though they do look very nice, they are quite thin. The current Seagull versions of these from their websites are not cheap. I think they're around $450, and they've been sold out for the last couple of weeks that I've looked, just while I've been thinking about seeing this one. And note also that the casebacks on their current versions differ also. I don't know whether they've done that to differentiate themselves from all of the clones that are out there. However, I think we need to thank Seagull for that, bringing that original design back to us. And then we can thank 21 Zuan here, Red Star, for making it cheaper and more accessible for us watch nutters. And if your politics, of course, push you away from buying objects from this country, then that's absolutely fair enough. Me personally, I'm not buying from AliExpress again, as I'm just completely done with their Mickey Mouse customer service. But there are quite a few of these floating around on Fleabay, at a decent price. So yeah, if that's, that could be a better option for some of us. Anyway, over to you guys. As I say, if you've owned one of these and you still have it, what are your thoughts on having it for a while, or did the hype push you away? Again, massive thanks to Paolo over at Tint UK. Appreciate the loan, dude, and get this back in the post to you as soon as possible. Look forward to your comments as always down below, guys. And of course, until the next vid, this is your host, The Bombardier, signing off.